In the midst of the Vietnam War, the United States military adopted the M16 rifle. The original rifle had a 20-inch barrel and was chambered for the new 5.56mm NATO cartridge. America's enemies were carrying the Kalashnikov AK-47 rifle chambered for the powerful 7.62 by 39mm cartridge. Today, the primary individual combat weapon issued for all branches of the U.S. military is the M4 carbine, a 14.5-inch barreled version of the original M16 rifle, chambered for the same 5.56 NATO cartridge. The weak link of the M4 carbine is the weapon's 5.56mm NATO cartridge, which fires a tiny .22 caliber bullet that has limited energy and is easily defeated by intermediate barriers such as walls, doors, windows, and automobile doors and windshields. The M4 carbine delivers approximately 10% less muzzle energy than the M16 rifle did more than 50 years ago when it was first introduced. Original 5.56mm ammunition fired a 55-grain projectile at 3,200 feet per second, generating 1,250 foot-pounds of energy. Improved 5.56mm ammunition fires a 62-grain projectile at 2,850 feet per second, generating 1,120 foot-pounds of energy. Other attempts to increase the performance of 5.56mm ammunition have resulted in only minimal increases in performance. American soldiers and Marines today armed with M4 carbines engaging adversaries armed with AK-47 rifles are outgunned in terms of muzzle energy and terminal performance. The issue of underperformance has not gone unnoticed by many leaders in the military community. Regardless of the load used, the 5.56mm NATO cannot match the energy delivered by the AK-47's 7.62 by 39mm cartridge. What is needed is a cartridge that offers increased performance at all distances, has manageable recoil, maintains a 30-round magazine capacity, is easily adaptable to the existing weapon and its components, and is cost-effective. Introducing the Kramer Defense 6.8 by 45mm Urban Combat Cartridge, the cost-effective performance upgrade for the M16, M4, and M249 weapon systems. The Kramer 6.8 was designed using the existing 5.56mm cartridge case and uses a larger 270 caliber 6.8mm projectile with weights of 110 and 115 grains and a proprietary propellant. This revolutionary cartridge delivers an average muzzle velocity of 2,500 feet per second from a 16-inch barrel, generating 1,596 foot-pounds of energy. That's 42% more muzzle energy than the 5.56mm NATO from the M4 carbine, 37% more muzzle energy than the 5.56mm NATO from the M27, and 10% more muzzle energy than the 7.62 by 39mm AK-47. America's Special Operations Forces often deploy short-barreled carbines with 10.5-inch barrels, like the Colt Commando and the HK-416. These short-barreled carbines are preferred because they are easier to manipulate while entering or exiting vehicles and helicopters. They're also effective when maneuvering in tight places inside of buildings, stairwells, and other confined spaces. However, the decreased performance delivered from these short-barreled carbines is often overlooked by the special operations community. They deliver less velocity and less muzzle energy than the M16A4 rifle and M4 carbine. Operators armed with these short-barreled carbines are at a greater disadvantage when having to engage adversaries outside at a distance, behind intermediate barriers, or in vehicles. The Kramer 6.8 UCC addresses this issue by delivering an average muzzle velocity of 2,300 feet per second from a 10.5-inch barrel, generating 1,350 foot-pounds of energy. That's 45% more muzzle energy than a 10.5-inch barreled 5.56mm HK416. Due to the Kramer 6.8 UCC's use of the 5.56 NATO's cartridge case, an existing M4 carbine or M4 upper receiver group requires only a barrel change to utilize the 6.8 by 45mm cartridge. All of the remaining components of the weapon are compatible with the Kramer 6.8, avoiding the expense of replacing existing weapon inventories and spare parts. The modular design of the M4 carbine allows the upper receiver group of the weapon to be changed quickly and easily. This quick change capability allows a unit to train with their existing 5.56mm caliber weapons and quickly upgrade to the Kramer 6.8 for deployment or combat use. The Kramer 6.8 uses standard military 30-round aluminum magazines that have been redesigned internally to allow proper feeding of the 6.8 caliber cartridge with its larger neck. These magazines hold 30 rounds and will also function reliably with 5.56 NATO ammunition.
Right there! Go!
The U.S. military's light machine gun is the M249 belt-fed squad automatic weapon, chambered for the 5.56mm NATO cartridge. The SAW utilizes a 200-round linked belt of ammunition and has a quick-change barrel design. The Kramer 6.8's use of the existing 5.56 NATO cartridge case permits loading of SAW ammunition belts with Kramer 6.8 UCC ammunition without modification. The SAW can be reconfigured to fire the Kramer 6.8 UCC with just the changing of the barrel and belt of ammunition, increasing the weapon's performance and lethality in just seconds with no change to the host weapon. An additional cost-effective benefit to the military is the Kramer 6.8 UCC's use of the existing military ammunition packaging system and components. The 6.8 uses the same stripper clips, cardboard inserts, and bandoliers as 5.56mm ammunition. The round count per can will also remain the same. The Kramer 6.8 is easily adaptable to all existing military 5.56mm caliber weapons, including the M16 rifle, the M4 carbine, and the M249 SAW. Magazine capacity of 30 rounds is maintained. Magazines are also compatible with 5.56mm ammunition. Manageable recoil in semi and full automatic firing modes. Increased performance over the 5.56mm from all barrel lengths and at all distances. No change to existing inventory of weapon spare parts and components. No change to existing M4 and M249 ammunition packaging system and components. Military ammunition manufacturing facilities require only minor changes. The Kramer Defense 6.8 by 45mm UCC offers the best trade-off balance of increased terminal performance, cartridge size and weight, projectile weight and velocity, weapon compatibility, magazine capacity, manageable recoil, and 0 to 600 yard performance. The Kramer 6.8 UCC gives all branches of the U.S. military a cost-effective performance upgrade that will allow our ground forces to outgun their opponents for the first time since the adoption of the M16 rifle. It truly is the ultimate intermediate caliber cartridge for the M16, M4, and M249 weapon systems. The Kramer Defense 6.8 by 45mm Urban Combat Cartridge, Chamber Performance.